We are now several weeks past that Ukrainian incursion into Russia, and in that time, the U.S. presidential election has continued apace. We're getting ever closer to November. We have a different candidate for the Democratic Party than we did 6 months ago, and I'm wondering, is there anything about U.S. politics that is affecting the way Putin is thinking right now? Has he changed his strategy because the candidate running against Trump has changed?
I don't think Putin has changed his strategy. He might. I think he's heavily focused on what kind of conditions the United States puts on the use of Western weapons by Ukrainian military forces. So, obviously, the U.S. and other Western countries have limited the extent to which Ukraine can use those weapons inside Russian territory. If Biden or, President Harris, unlikely President Trump, were to take those restrictions off, it would give Ukraine a much stronger ability to hit Russian forces much deeper in the territory. And that's what Putin is definitely worried about. I think that's exactly what Zelensky is going to be asking for in his upcoming, it's clear in his messaging right now, and it'll certainly be one of his goals in upcoming trips to the U.S. and other countries. So I think that's what's weighing on Putin's mind, the ability, the restrictions on the use of Western weapons. I'm not sure if he's so much focused on the election.
That makes sense. I do believe the Department of Justice has announced recently that it believes that Russia is interfering with our elections. How much about this do you know, and how concerned should we be?
Well, I'm not privy to any inside information on this, but clearly Russia, China, and Iran, among other countries, have been taking extensive efforts to manipulate our elections. And again, it's not really clear in which candidate they would prefer. I think obviously Russia would prefer to have Trump. I think it would be easier for them to deal with Trump. I think Iran, it's a different situation, but Russia in particular has made extensive efforts in the past to interfere in our elections. And I think the key here for them is not so much the candidate who wins, but just to undermine trust in the process and to make divisions stronger and sharper among different American groups. And so the more that Americans are divided, the more that we're fighting with each other, the less likely, we're going to be able to muster the strength that we need to oppose the Russian invasion in Ukraine. So I think the goal of all these activities is to undermine any sort of confidence Americans have in their own system, in the workings of democracy, in the reliability of the media. And these are all the kind of themes that Trump himself is constantly talking about, that, he was robbed in 2020, the media is stacked against him or working for its own purposes. And so in that sense, all these efforts kind of play into the Republican playbook, which is unfortunate, but that seems to be what's happening at the moment.